2 weeks ago, the government set out its plan for reducing the deficit to ensure that the country can pay for the services it needs. Just 2 weeks ago. So today, we're publishing our ideas on how we can tackle the challenge of a 27% reduction in government funding over the next 4 years, which necessarily means a 27% reduction in local government activity. There are going to be things that we can no longer do, given the withdrawal of funding. In response to this, we'll change how we work to enable us to deliver better services with less money. I'm going to talk briefly today about our priorities and immediate changes, and our plans to raise additional funds and our approach to what is called the big society. What I see are our responsibilities to one another. But before I do that, let me say this. We've had to think long and hard about how we can reduce services because we are ourselves dependent upon the state. That's why we're today publishing a document that considers how we can meet the challenge of a reduction in government grant of perhaps £70 million over the next 4 years. Yet, we have businesses that pay more than £1 billion of tax in the form of business rates, whose hard work funds local government in other parts of the country. At the same time, council taxpayers in Westminster contribute to the £50 million subsidy that we provide to the people who visit the city and on whom the businesses depend. And we regulate some highly successful businesses who do not pay the full cost of the burden they place on public services because government rules prevent us from making a proper charge. This has to change if we are to reinvigorate local democracy and promote the economic vibrancy of the city. Bringing part or all of Westminster's business rates back to Westminster is a huge part of that, and we're already taking our case to government on this issue. I'd like to see Westminster become a self-sufficient authority, ending our dependence on government grant and state handout, because our business and domestic taxpayers and our commercial income together pay for the services and investment our city needs. We will be campaigning for changes to enable us to achieve this, so that in future we can set a budget based on our ability to enhance the heart of London on behalf of London as a whole and on behalf of our country. We have been conducting a fundamental review of our services. This has been hard and has involved many tough calls around what we can do for any given level of funding. We've thought about what we're here to achieve and recognised that we've both got a global business role and responsibilities to our local residents. We've thought about what we are here to achieve and recognised that we have both a global business role and responsibilities to our local residents. We want communities across Westminster to have access to great schools, affordable homes and live in safe and clean streets. And we'll support business to create the wealth and jobs people need. Together, we want to leave a legacy of social responsibility and civic engagement, and I call this our Living City mission. That's our goal. But from our fundamental services review, a number of financial issues have now become clear. First, we can't sustain our existing structure for education services, so we'll move to a shared service, initially with Hammersmith and Fulham, early next year. Second, we believe that a viable way forward for adult services is to consider a similar shared service with other councils and, most importantly, health providers and the new GP commissioning fora, reducing the back office, protecting the front line and reducing the cost of healthcare by giving proper care for long-term conditions. However, we offer our staff and our citizens the guarantee that we will only bring services together when there is a clear case to do so. And we will, of course, retain local delivery and local democratic accountability. That said, we expect shared services to realise £10 million in savings a year by 2014, and we believe it is our duty to look for those savings wherever we can. Third, we should expect to move existing customer services from a few one-stop shops to more neighbourhood shops and online channels. This will make dealing with the council quicker and easier. Fourth, Other services will be moved onto a more commercial footing. We expect our sports and leisure services, for example, to be fully self-funding by 2014. Fifth, we will, and we are, reduce spending on non-frontline services such as communications, IT, property, management and HR. Sixth, there will be an impact on our street services. We will have to do less maintenance for lights, roads and bridges. We will reduce some of our cleansing and recycling services. Finally, we will work with the contractors and voluntary organisations to get even better value out of the 60% of the services that they provide. Overall, we have a number of proposals which enable us to live within our means while delivering our priorities. Please be under no illusions. While we will do our best to help those who depend on us by maximising income, promoting fairness and securing value for money, we are still facing a major reduction in income and something is going to have to give. This is set out in the document you have and I'm happy to take questions on it. But for every choice we make, whenever we stop doing things, there are things that we will continue to fund, develop and encourage. As I promised in March, we're revitalising our major shopping areas in time for the Olympics, from the Harrow Road to Oxford Circus, renewing 1,000 streets through our Neat Streets programme, building affordable housing, raising school standards, helping business and residents through the aftershocks of the recession. We're delivering the programme we announced in March and that you helped create. And as we approach 2011, I'll be asking my Cabinet to redouble their efforts to go out and meet and discuss with community groups, businesses and all those who contribute to the life of the city to shape our budget priorities for 2011-12 in the crucial year before the Olympic Games comes to London. I can be confident about those plans and priorities, but alongside the areas where we will reduce spending and our continuing focus on priorities, we intend to develop new cost-effective ways of commissioning services that provide real value for money. But we also need a fairer deal from the government, and they are listening to our concerns. As a result of our lobbying, they have agreed to cost recovery on licensing. They allow us to retain growth in the business rate and to end the inequitable housing revenue account arrangements. We will benefit from this, but we believe they can go further, particularly with the business rate, although that is not the only solution. So I can announce today that we are forming, together with other inner city authorities in London and elsewhere, a City Finance Commission, which will report on new ways to make the city and others less dependent on the merry-go-round of Byzantine state funding mechanisms. We do not want to have to go cap in hand to government to get back the local taxes that business has already paid. We want to be free to reconnect business with the services that support it. The city government will continue to provide the core services that keep the city clean and safe and protect the vulnerable. We want to release the potential of our citizens to improve the quality of life by developing a stronger sense of community responsibility. We'll be taking a report to Cabinet in November, setting out how we can strengthen our big society based on encouraging responsible citizens to build stronger communities, more open government, and supported by business to work together to create new job opportunities. Our neighbourhood budgets show one of the ways that we can do this. What I've said today offers a direction of travel, an approach to meeting this enormous challenge. We do not, however, have a monopoly on wisdom or of foresight. One of the hallmarks of the big society is that we make the most of the skills, expertise and knowledge of those who make this city great. That means you, your friends, your neighbours, colleagues, contractors, even your children. Do you have a better plan? However large or small, your idea, we want to hear it. This process starts today and will conclude at the end of the month, allowing us to publish a draft budget around the turn of the year, once the final grant settlement is known, and to take the discussion onto the next stage. Thank you for coming. We all look forward to hearing your views and your contributions to this vital debate for Westminster.